What is up, guys? Average Fishing TV here, and today I'm going to be teaching you about spinner baits, trailers, the gear needed, and how to fish them. Now, before I get into the video, all I ask for you guys is to please hit that subscribe button and those like buttons. It'll be really helpful. Alright, so the gear that is needed to fish a spinner bait, at least minimum. If you want to go with a little bit of lighter, like maybe like a 116 ounce, 110 ounce spinner baits, you can get away with anywhere between a medium light, and if you want to go bigger, half ounce, 1 ounce, 3/4 ounce, you can go up to a heavy setup. Now, what I personally run for all of my spinner baits, besides the little bit lighter ones that I have, I am running a 7 foot medium heavy setup. So this is the Bass Pro Shops Graphite series, 7 foot medium heavy. Right now, I have about a half ounce spinner bait by Striking. It has your little Colorado blade, your little leaf blade. And what I like about this, it imitates kind of like a little bit of a bait fish in a way. Has a little bit of a red eye. Same thing with the jig head right here. This is a chartreuse color, so I use this in muddy waters. I'll use it maybe sometimes in like clear waters if I feel like it, or even if like the bite rate is slow. And what I do, instead of having a green, actually a green trailer, I have a white trailer to make it stand out, make it pop out a little more. This is a Zoom twin tail grub. What I like about this does give it action, kind of like a crawl action in a way. They like a little bit kick in the water. Gives it more action. I really like it. I actually found out I get better hookup ratios. I do get up better, better bites, more bites, initiated when I'm fishing a trailer on a spinner bait. Now, for the line, I'm right now running a 50-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. Now, why I do say that, I live in Florida. There's a lot of, or at least where I live, the ponds and the lakes that I do fish at, there's a lot of weeds, there's a lot of vegetation. A lot of that vegetation, I don't want my bait to, you know, kind of like, I don't want to lose my bait when I'm trying to cut through those lily pads and heavy vegetation. So that 50-pound braid will do just fine. It may be a little bit overkill, but I also do like it because higher sensitivity. I feel a lot more bites initiated, especially with that fluorocarbon leader. So rod wise, I would mention anywhere between a medium light to a heavy setup. Heavy being if you want to fish like heavy cover and you really want to get that bait out, go for it. But I think it's a little bit too much. Even like in Florida, when there's lakes and ponds known for heavy vegetation, that may be a little bit too much. But if you guys want to go with a heavy setup, I say go for it. Now, with that heavy setup, I do recommend 20-pound fluorocarbon, or if you want, go anywhere between 40 to 65-pound braid. And then if you want to tie a fluorocarbon leader, you can go a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader or a 25. That way you have a little bit more bite rates. Bite rates meaning your bait becomes clearer, of course. Everyone knows that with a fluorocarbon leader. Or if you want to tie straight braid, you can too. You just won't have that little bit, you won't have like more bite rates initiated. You won't have that little bit of oomph, you know what I'm saying? I do run, if I'm running, right now actually, I am running a 50-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. This is by Zuri, and then a Zuri fluorocarbon leader. I think it's called the HD Carbon. Works pretty well. I use it for saltwater also, which saltwater content is coming up soon. Please make sure to watch out for that. Anyways, back on topic. Rod wise, for aside from heavy setups, I'm running a 7 foot medium heavy. Now that does cover every spinner bait that I have ever fished in my life. I have no problem fishing. I never snapped off. I've never like, casted off my lures. I've been perfectly fine. Never lost a spinner bait in my life. Especially even running that braid to fluorocarbon leader. Now usually I did run 20-pound straight braid. Sorry, 20-pound straight fluorocarbon. It did work well. It worked a lot better. But I recently switched to braid to fluoro because I want to cut through that vegetation. I do want to have higher sensitivity, feeling more bites. And I want to have that shock leader. That way I can even, again, feel more bites, have that a little bit added strength. Next, we are going to talk about the actual spinner baits. Now, this is a spinner bait box, I think by Plano. It's called, I picked it on Amazon Black Friday for like $6. Usually they're like, I think like 20, 15 bucks. But I got it for $8 at Black Friday a couple years ago. I have all my spinner baits pretty neatly. I still have some out of the thing, but if I do this, they work pretty fine. I like this. I've had this for like maybe like a good year or two. Works pretty fine. Doesn't damage anything, and it's anti-rust. So if I put in a bunch of spinner baits that the hooks are wet, it will not rust. Now to the actual spinner baits. First off, the colors I would usually run is that chartreuse color that I showed you guys with a white twin tail grub, or I'll also, if I want to match the colors, I will use a single tail grub in the chartreuse color or a chartreuse pepper color. Now, if I'm fishing after the rain and it's a little bit of muddy, I will go for brighter colors, of course. Or what I'll also do is I'll also use this spinner bait. I think this is a 1 ounce by Booyah. I have also a white tail, twin tail grub, and this is a little bit of a gray and a white color. Has a silver Colorado and a silver willow leaf blade. And then if I want to go for bait fish, if I really want to imitate those bait fish, I will go with this Strike King spinner bait. I like this because it does imitate a bluegill color, and what the trailer that I have is a little 3-inch paddle tail swim bait from 6 cents. Now these work pretty good. I've got a lot of good bites, a lot of good fish on there. This would have come up with both willow leaf blade and a willow Colorado blade. I do like this. It also does come with a bluegill imitator willow leaf blade with a little red eyes on a jig head too. Pretty sharp. I like these. I've always fished spinner baits for I don't know how long, and this is probably one of my best ones I've ever, and the most caught fish I've had on this one. And then if you also want to go with a little bit darker colors, you can also go with this darker bluegill shade. Now I don't have any trailers on this. Why? Because I have this trailer hook. So I have my original hook and I have this trailer hook. This is also by Strike King, by the way. The reason being said is if I'm being honest, I don't know the point too much about trailer hooks. I just know it's pretty good. I've caught maybe like 1 or 2 fish on here, but I only use it if I don't know, whenever I want. Now let's talk about trailers. So like how I said, with this with this spinner bait, I do have a 3-inch paddle tail by it's called the Divine Swim Bait. Yeah, by the Divine Swim Bait by 6 cents. It does work well. You can also have different colors, white, green, black, and pair it up with different other different other spinner baits if you want. Now, let's say I am fishing with this gray and white spinner bait. Now, if I want to change the color or the action a little bit, I will go with this Zoom twin tail grub. It'll have the same action actually as the white twin tail grub, but it'll become a little bit darker. Now, if I do want to go in a little bit of murky waters, sometimes for some reason, I don't know why this works. I don't know if it's pure luck or not, but I have had luck with throwing on a black trailer with a gray and white color spinner bait, and I've had some pretty good catches on there. Now, if I'm going, let's take this other white and chartreuse color spinner bait. Right now, I do have these Bass Pro Shops chartreuse pepper, I think is what the color. Twin tail grub. This is about a 4-inch. These work pretty well. Same kicking action, twin tails. Or if I feel like it, I'll also use this Zoom Fat Albert, single tail curly grubs. These also work amazing too. These are probably one of my second favorite trailers for fishing a spinnerbait, aside from the twin tail grubs. Now, if you also do want to change it up, you can also go, if you want to go like a white, like if let's say you're fishing this white, the white spinnerbait, right? You can go with the white twin tails, or you can go with black. You can also go with like maybe like a black pepper color. You can also go with straight black, either the single tail or twin tail grubs. Now, the reason why I love the grub so much is, again, not only the action, but the profile it gives it kind of like a bigger profile, makes it more appealing to the fish, saying, oh, I want to catch this, I want to get that, I want to get that fish, it looks like a fish, bigger profiles. Now I do tend to make an adjustment. Now if the vibrate is a little bit slow, and if I do want to catch those bluegill, even like bait fish or something, these little micro finesse swim baits will do good too. If you also want to go with a little bit bigger, that's something, maybe like a micro finesse. You can go with this. A little bit of a black and purple. Now, if I'm fishing with these micro finesse, now sometimes I'll use like those Ned rig uh Sango worms, depending on like usually like a 2 inch, no more than like a 2.5 inch, no more than that, because then it'll be too heavy. Your lure, actually the spinner baits, I've had this problem before. So if you're fishing a trailer that's too big for a spinnerbait, what that's gonna do, your spinnerbait is gonna start twirling and twirling around, and it's not gonna come off straight. Usually when you're reeling in, it'll come off straight. You'll see the willow blades, just like spinning around doing their thing. Now, when a whole spinnerbait is rolling, this is not gonna roll. It's just gonna roll with it. Like it's gonna look all weird. You're not gonna have a good day fishing for a spinnerbait. Now, last but not least, when to fish a spinnerbait. To fish a spinnerbait, nothing really special. All you gotta do is when you cast it, let it sink a little bit, and then just reel in. Depending on where you're getting your bites, if you're getting a lot of bites, I would say you can also even use a little bit of faster retrieve presentation. Or if for some reason, again, I've caught some good fish on using it like a jig. So I'll just give it like a couple of pops here and there. Give it like a different like presentation. And I've caught some good fish on there, using like a jig presentation for some reason. I don't know how, but the wonderful bass fishing. And then when to fish a spinnerbait, usually I would say anywhere between fall, spring, and summer. Now, if you're fishing in the fall, that's when these trailers will do you just fine. Now, I would switch it up a little bit if I'm fishing in the fall with a spinnerbait. Sometimes I'll shift more towards those paddle tail swim baits, to give it a little bit more, less kicking action, and maybe a bigger profile, because some soft plastic swim baits like the Z-Man Minnow Z or the Diesel Minnow do have a little bit bigger presentation compared to these Divine 6 cent swim baits, or even the single tail grubs or the curly tail grubs. And then if you also want to fish it in the summer, definitely you mix it up a little bit. If you want to go swim bait, you can. If you want to go curly grub, you can. I do highly recommend both. They work for me, they're going to work for you, and they work for everyone else. I 100% promise you guys. One thing to keep in note is that when you are fishing a spinnerbait, you want to come off as straight as possible. You don't want it to lean to the left. You don't want it to lean to the right. You want it straight as possible. That way, your spinners are actually spinning perfectly fine. Your blades are not coming off lopsided. Now, if you do see your blades are not spinning at all, I would say At some point, you can actually change out what I do like about spinner baits. You can change out the blades if you want. So, for example, if I want to go for a little bit of a lifelike fish, I can change out this Colorado blade and go with two double willow leaf blades. Now there are spinner baits that do come with double willow leaf blades, even double Colorado blades. But if I want to change them out, you definitely can. All you gotta do is take off the split rings if they do come with one, or you can change out the little barrel swivels, kind of like how this one has it, and you will be perfectly fine. If you want to downsize, you definitely can. If you want to upsize, you definitely can. Now, like how I mentioned, if it is coming off as lopsided, left to the right, you want to, if you're fishing with a trailer, which you most likely are, which is causing that, you want to downsize. You don't want to go off and fish a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait with a 4 inch, even like a 6 inch like grub or a spinnerbait, swim bait. You don't want to come off lopsided, because if you do, you're not going to get the action. You could possibly snap off too. That means also your line can get caught. When you tie your line right here, your line can get caught on the spinners, on the blades. It can even get caught on the hook, causing you to snap off, even cast off. And you do not want that. I promise you guys. You're not gonna get any fish. You're gonna lose lures like crazy. I promise you guys. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this video, and also share this to other anglers that want to fish with a spinnerbait, that know nothing about spinnerbaits, or for people that are just getting into fishing and want to try out spinnerbaits. I feel like this video will be helpful to younger anglers, to older anglers, to anyone in the world that want to fish with spinnerbaits. Now this is based off of my knowledge, off of my past experiences. This is not a sponsored video, by the way, guys. Let me put that out there. All that to the side, again, please make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.